Well, first of all, it's nice to finally see it. But yeah, it has been a long time coming because gold was last sustainably this high in like 2011. It had a couple of spikes that got up there since then, but mostly it's been a boring, not catastrophic, but kind of grinding stretch for gold and for silver, more so for silver, really. But the fundamentals were always there. I mean, we were always borrowing insane amounts of money and creating way too much new currency and causing booms and busts of increasing amplitudes. So there was never a question that we were going to get to a place where a bust was so big that the required bailout would then be commensurately big, and it would cause a currency crisis, which would lead to a big jump in gold and silver in response. You know, that was always coming. And we kind of sort of had that with the pandemic, where that was, well, our response to the pandemic created such a global crisis that we had to increase the money supply in the US by 40%. And that gave us inflation, inevitably. And that gave us higher interest rates, which is now in the process of giving us a recession this year sometime. So that kind of uncertainty was always eventually going to lead to gold and silver going up. And so it's finally happening. And you know, the only philosophical thing you can draw from this is that things in life take a lot longer than you expect normally, as you found with your move to a new house lately, probably. But you know, I wouldn't read all that much into why it's happening now, except to say that it should have happened all along. And the reason it's not very exciting yet, even though gold set a couple of all-time records, gold had its highest monthly and quarterly close on March 31st. And normally all-time records generate a lot of buzz, but that hasn't been the case this time because I think people are just so beaten down by expecting gold to go up and expecting it to go up, and it may be going up a little bit, then going back down. It's been a really disappointing long stretch for gold bugs and for precious metals miner investors. And, you know, all I can say is it was always going to happen, and maybe this is it. But what's happening right now is very encouraging because gold is up. It's creeping up on its all-time daily high. Silver is way down from its previous highs, but it's rising faster than gold is right now. And the mining stocks, at least the higher quality mining stocks, are ripping right now. They're going up dramatically faster than gold is. And that's a sign of some awakening animal spirits in the market. So it could be. And again, you never know what's going to happen 3 months or 6 months or even a year out. But it could be that this is the beginning of a bull market that will be notable because all the numbers are so big. It won't be, in retrospect, a surprise to see gold and silver go up dramatically. Just because the amount of debt, the amount of currency, you know, all of that stuff that normally form the fundamentals for precious metals are so outrageously overdone. And so we could easily see a nice long run from here in gold and a bigger, more serious run in silver, just to get silver back to its all-time high. You know, silver almost has to double to get to its all-time high from here. And that will not be a surprise at all, at least in retrospect after it happens. Yeah, two thoughts. One, Michael Oliver. Normally, I don't really pay too much attention to technical analysis, but he's a special case because I've been watching him for years. And, you know, he was a regular on Jay Taylor's show for a long time, too. And he's been pretty consistently right, even when he was temporarily wrong. You know, he would say something was going to happen and it didn't happen right away, but he stuck to his guns and it eventually happened. I've seen him do that quite a few times. So I respect his analysis, and I respect it so much that in the Substack article I just wrote on gold's bull market, I posted your video with him at the very bottom. I left people with that video because it's exciting to see this guy with credibility saying, that's it, I'm as bullish as I can be on gold and silver. Now, Michael Pinto is absolutely right that if there's a problem with gold and silver right now, it is that there's a big problem with the rest of the economy. We're heading into a recession one way or another. We got all kinds of stuff going on in the banking industry. And normally that that brings an equities bear market that pulls precious metals down along for the ride. So that's the big risk for precious metals, is that you get another 2008 or 2020 when gold and silver and the mining stocks just get crushed. But it's a V bottom and they rocket off that bottom. But still, if you're along for the ride, you just lost some sleep for a couple of weeks there. And so that, to me, is what would keep someone reasonably from jumping in with both feet into precious metals right now, because that thing is out there looming, or at least the equities bear market is looming. And the question is, what does it do to precious metals? And I also think Michael Pinto is probably right this time, that there are different factors at work. And like you said, the banking industry is right on a knife's edge right now. They had a mini crisis that the government stopped by basically guaranteeing all bank deposits everywhere in the U.S. It was a really major gesture that they made, but that stopped the carnage. But it's not over yet, because especially small banks like regional and community banks own a lot of commercial real estate. And commercial real estate has the same structural balance sheet problems that those small banks have, because a ton of buildings went up in the last 10 years, financed with trillions of dollars of extremely cheap debt. And now a lot of that debt has to roll over. And those buildings are, because office buildings have very high vacancy rates because everybody's still working at home and there was overbuilding. So they're not worth it. They're not worth refinancing right now. So a lot of them are going to have to be sold, and they're going to have to be sold at massively lower prices. Wolf Richter's doing some really good work on this. You should check a couple of his articles out if you haven't seen them, where he tracks sales that have happened in the commercial real estate market. And there are literally $400 million buildings having to be sold by a distressed owner for $178 million, things like that. Drops of that magnitude are happening in a lot of formerly hot markets. Now, the banks own a lot of that paper. So if commercial real estate rolls over, then that's going to impact those same banks that had a near-death experience a month ago. And when people started worrying about the safety of their banks, they pulled a lot of money out, a lot of deposits out, and some of that money went to gold and silver. So there was a flight to safety.
Small ebook, big impact, the wealth tree. The only 4 ways that will make you financially free forever. Download it here for free.